Hi guys, what are we gonna do today? Don't you just love dressing up your clothes and your bags and other fun things, but you don't want to spend a fortune buying a whole new outfit? So what I thought I would do is do some of my stamping on fabric and turn them into appliques that you could add to all your clothing or bag or anything you want to accessorize. On this cute little jacket, we added one of our birds. So we are going to show you how to do some different designs, and from there you guys can just take off and do whatever you'd love. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is pick what you would like to do for an applique, and I'm going to use this cute little bird. It seems to be my favorite from one of the IOD stamps. And I am just going to ink this guy up really well. And I am using the IOD ink because when I heat set it, it is not going to bleed. So just make sure whatever ink you're using, that you can heat set it and it won't bleed, especially if you're putting it on some clothing. Now I'm just going to stamp here. This is more of a linen fabric, but a muslin or a tighter weave fabric probably works really, really well. This one's going to give you a few more little unravels if you don't mind that, a little more primitive on your item. So the tighter weave, the tighter the edges. Okay, so after you stamped your piece, you're going to heat set it. So I am just going to turn this piece over and heat set the back so ink doesn't get in my iron. So really what you need to make sure of is that your ink is going to be permanent. If you're concerned at all, you definitely want to do this and wash whatever it is you're doing with whatever ink you're using to make sure of that, because you definitely don't want that to bleed on anything you've got. So now I'm going to take some polyester batting, and I have a couple thin sheets of this, and I'm going to put this in the center of the two pieces of fabric. I love cotton batting for some things. This is great because it'll shrink down and it gives you a little stability and it makes it a little stronger, and you'll see that as I iron it. It's almost like it sticks. It doesn't, but it feels like it. And it's going to get nice and thin, but really, really nice and thick. Turn it over. You can definitely see how it's gotten really nice and thick compared to like this double layer of how we started. So what we're going to do next is trim just a little bit of this so we can start sewing. So you don't have this big, huge piece. And then we're going to start stitching. So since I stamped in this black, I am going to use this dark gray thread. I'm using 2 strands. You could also use just floss and use 2 strands, just whatever you would like. And I try to just coordinate it with whatever color ink I'm using. This is kind of a fun trick with this. I took my thread, and you can see down here, I folded it in half. So I have my loop right there. So I'm going to thread these 2 open ends through this needle. Okay. And this is kind of fun because it's making a knot without actually making a knot. And see, there's my little looped end. And I'm going to start at the back. So I'm going to find a piece here. I know I want to start about there. So I'm going to take my thread. Here we go. I'm just going through the back. And see my loop? I'm going to stick my needle through the loop. And you are knotted in back. Now for this applique, what we are going to do is we're doing a back stitch, which means everything outlined will be stitched. I'm just going to be showing you what I'm doing right here on this white spot. So what I'm doing is coming up, going forward, coming up a little ways. That's definitely way too far, but just for the sake of you seeing. Going back down. Now if you wanted to, you could actually just go right through this hole again and go forward. Or just go forward a ways and go back. The main objective is you want a straight line that is connected. So that's what we're trying to do. So now we're just going to go all the way around the edges. So I'm going to come up maybe 1/4 inch away, come up. And I don't know if you can see this, you're going to go back through that last hole, so you're filling that in. Then you can go back up about 1/4 inch. And there are several different ways to do a back stitch. And then go back to the last hole. So when you get down to small tiny areas like this, you know, I want to go around them, but you want to make sure you're not cutting across in the back, because when you cut around, you don't want to cut your thread, so you want to stay really close to your line still. So I'm actually going to go around these feet. And of course, when you're sewing these, you want to make sure you're going through all of your fabric. On some of the other ones I did, I'm going to show you later, I filled in some of the detail, and some of them that were more open, and I'll show you that at the end. Now I can see I have 1 or 2 little loops here that are loose. So I'm just going to pull them out to the back. There we go. Let's knot this up. And then cut any of your loose threads. There's not huge pieces of loose threads hanging off. And then what we're going to do next is I am going to use Ultra Hold Steam-A-Seam, and it's a fusible web, and we're going to iron that to the back of this before we cut it out. So I just took some fusible web and I just cut it out, and you either want to make it a little smaller than your piece or exactly, because you definitely don't want your iron touching the fusible web, otherwise it will stick to it. And just follow the manufacturer's instructions. Let us just iron this down really well. And I like to do this before I cut it out, and it seems like it gives you crisper lines also. Let this cool just for like a second or so, and then we are going to cut out close to where your threads are, but not on the threads. Maybe like an 1/8 inch. You could do even larger, but I like to just get really close, but not cutting through the threads. And as long as you stitch all the way around, even though the little teeny edges may unravel a little, you should be intact because you have all of your back stitching around your outside lines. Cut. And the tighter the weave fabric you have, the less you'll have a problem with that. Okay, so what we do next is take this off and iron this on to what we would like to decorate. Okay, so then you have your little piece of paper on the back side that just comes right off. And then this is kind of shiny, but when you lay it down and iron it, it will fuse to whatever you're putting it to. Here was one I did as the flower, and I added extra stitching inside to give it a little bit more dimension. But I think the one I'm gonna iron on right now is this fun one that I did last night, where I stamped it all and stamped around all the little teeny leaves and vines. And we made this cute little bag, which we will be doing a little video on sometime soon on how to make this. And I'm gonna iron it onto here. And sometimes what you're gonna have to do is, since you're going through several layers, if it's something you can easily get to the other side of the fabric, you might wanna be using the heat on this side so it gets closer to your Stamp&Sew. So what I did is I made sure it was kind of tacked on and turned it inside out, because now I'm a little closer to where the adhesive is on the back side. I really want this to stick well. If for some reason your thermal web, your webbing isn't sticking well enough, you may have to do a little running stitch. But usually if you're using Ultra Hold Stamp&Sew, that sucker's gonna stick to anything for you. Okay, so I've ironed it on, and look how cute this little pocket bag is. And I was just thinking while I was doing this, it might be kind of fun to take this one that we had done and maybe put it on my jacket. So let's try it. I'm just gonna iron this little guy right here on this pocket. Oh, how fun. This has been my test jacket. I've been doing some of our other projects on, the stitching and some other fun things. Now see, this one's easier if I wanted to go to the back side, because it's just really easy just to turn this over. I'm sure most of you use ironing boards. Just seems to be one of those things I don't use very often. And if I do, it's usually the old antique wooden one, and it's always in my shop. Okay, let's see. So what do you guys think? Cute? Okay, so whatever you do some fun projects with this and decorate your heart out. Hi guys, so if you like the videos that we're doing, be sure to subscribe, because then you can get everything that we do as soon as it goes up and you won't miss anything.